Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to deal with seed starting, and it's actually going to be a two-part video. The first part is going to deal with the whole seed starting, seed growing setup, and then the second part is going to be what we use to plant seeds in, what kind of soil we plant seeds in, and then we'll kind of show you the finished at the end of the video, our full seed setup complete with the planted seed trays and what everything looks like. So I wanted to say a couple of things about seed starting. Seed starting is another thing that can be really intimidating for beginning gardeners and home gardeners, because you go online, you're searching gardening supplies, and you see all of these really expensive seed starting kits. You see the towers of shelves that are hundreds of dollars. I mean, I've searched for seed growing towers, and I've seen them as much as like $500 or $600. So as a beginning gardener, you kind of think, well, I can't afford that, so maybe this isn't something I can actually do. But you don't need any of that to start seeds. Actually, you don't need anything to start seeds but a very sunny window and a table. You don't even need a table, actually, because when my husband and I lived in an apartment, we would start seeds by just getting a tray, putting it on the ground in front of our big sunny sliding door, and we would just rotate the seeds to make sure they were getting light evenly. So you don't need grow lights, you don't need grow towers, you need a sunny space, and plant as much as you have room for. That's the easy and the cheapest way to go. And that's the way my husband and I did it for several years. And then within the past 3 years, we started to make our own grow light system. It's just a plastic utility shelf. And then we bought LED and grow lights, and we strung them up ourselves. And that's what we use as our grow light system. So you are free to decide how much money you want to spend. We've built our system gradually over time. So we started on the floor of our apartment in a sunny window. Then we moved to our house and we used a table in front of a sunny window. And then we bought the utility shelving and started using lights. Really decide, how many shelves you want, how many lights you want. If you don't want to use lights at all, you just want to use a sunny window. So you decide how much money you want to spend, but don't let money stop you from the satisfaction of starting your own plants. And you can save, the purpose of this is to save money, because you can buy a packet of seeds for $3 or $4 and you can grow as many seeds as you have room for. I'm actually going to take you downstairs. I also want to add that we do not have a basement. We have kind of a small house, so you don't even need a ton of space for this. So we're actually, we have our seed, this year we're going to put our seed set up in our guest room. So I'm going to bring you downstairs. I'm going to show you what we're working with. I can even put some links below for some of the lights we used, some shelving that's comparable to what we're using. But again, it is completely up to your imagination and how much money you want to spend. You can build shelves out of anything you want. You don't even have to buy utility shelving from the store. You can build them out of wood, you can build them out of PVC, you can, however you want to do it. Get creative. That's partially why we call ourselves the Clumsy Gardeners, because we kind of figure things out as we go, and it doesn't always look pretty, as you're about to see, but it gets the job done without spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So I'm going to take you downstairs and I'm going to show you our setup. All right, so this is our grow light system setup. As you can see, it is not pretty, but it works. The main part of the shelves are just a cheap plastic utility shelf unit. It was probably 20 or 30 bucks. And then this year we wanted to add another shelf. So my husband just took some scrap wood and created a little frame so that we could hang another light over the top shelf. So that'll give us a little bit of extra space. And we have a hodgepodge of lights here. You can see that we have actual lights that are marketed as grow lights. And we have LED shop lights. And both work perfectly fine. We used both last year and our plants germinated. They all grew just as well. So that's something to consider. You do not have to buy lights that are specifically labeled as grow lights. Any LED bright shop light, you want to get the lights that are labeled daylight. Those are bright enough to germinate and grow seedlings. And we've just sort of added, like I said, we didn't do this all at once. We added a little bit every year. And as you can see, it doesn't take a ton of space. We have this tucked in a corner of our guest room. So if you're using grow lights, you do not need to put the seeds in front of a bright window because the lights are mimicking sunlight basically. So you can even put your grow light system in a basement or a windowless room or somewhere in a corner if you're going to use grow lights. That's perfectly fine. So you don't need a ton of space. And you can decide how many lights you want to buy, how many shelves you want to use. You can make your own shelves. You can slap together something using scrap wood. It doesn't have to be pretty, and this is only going to be up for a couple of months. Once it's warm enough to plant out, we're going to take this down. We're not going to use it anymore. And then we'll just start our seeds outside. So this is our setup. So now I'm going to show you how we actually plant the seeds, and then we'll show you what everything looks like with our seed flats when we're done. All right, so now we're going to start planting seeds. So we have everything we need set out on the table here. We are going to use these little seed starting kits. You can buy them at the hardware store. They're pretty cheap and reusable. So once you buy them, you can use them year after year. So these are actually several years old. You can tell they're looking a little worn, but that's okay. They still work. We've already started to think about where we want to put which seeds. So here we usually put the cool weather leafy greens in the same tray. And then we start thinking about our warm weather tomatoes, peppers. And then we're also thinking about our herbs. So to start seeds, you don't need a seed starting kit like this. You really just need a container. You need something to put under it. So these are really handy. They have these trays that come with them. So you can actually water from underneath, because all of these have little holes at the bottom for drainage. But watering underneath for seedlings is really helpful, because if you water from above, you can sort of disturb the seed. The seed starts moving around. You can bend over the seedlings because they're so delicate. So watering from beneath is actually pretty handy. So if you don't want to go out and buy a little kit like this, you can take any pot you have with good drainage and just make sure that there's a tray underneath it to catch any extra water. So it's really up to you. You just need something that can hold dirt and has good drainage. And then as far as soil goes, we did go out and purchase some seed starting mix. Seed starting mix is a little bit different from other soil because it's really light and drains easily. So that's just sort of ideal for germinating seeds. But you can use any brand. We don't have any preferred brand. This is just what was available at our hardware store. And then the other thing we like to do is we have a big tub, and we actually put the soil in the tub and moisten it before we put it in our seed trays. We've just found that it's easier to put soil in the trays and plant into already moist soil. It just makes the process easier, and it's easier to kind of tamp down the soil in the cells, which is really important just to make sure that the soil is firm in here so that when the roots of the seedlings are growing, it makes them easier to take out, and it just makes a nice little plug for planting out in the garden. So we've found that works for us. You don't have to do that. That's just what we like to do. So we're going to get started. So like I said, we're planting our leafy greens, our beets, our broccoli. Those are all cool weather plants. We're also going to start tomatoes, herbs, peppers, squash, and then I have a little area over here for starting some of my flowers. So that's what we're going to do today. And then I will check back in after we're done. All right, so this is what we look like when we're all finished. We have flower seeds up here. We have our cool weather crops, and then we have some tomatoes and peppers. And we are not using our bottom shelf yet. There are still some plants that we're gonna start but we need to wait a few weeks because they don't like to be started this early. So we still haven't planted squash. Carrots we're going to sow directly into the ground. And cucumbers and a couple of other things we're going to hold off on for now. So this is what it looks like. And then you can see we have these little plastic coverings that come with these grow kits. They're really helpful because they keep moisture in. And that's really important when you're starting seeds. You never want the seeds to completely dry out. So this just helps make sure everything stays moist. And then we also put water at the bottom of each tray so that the cells can soak up water from underneath. And you just want to make sure, check it every day. And make sure nothing is completely drying out. And then another thing you want to consider is how you're going to label your seeds. This year we used popsicle sticks. Last year we used tape. So we just kind of try something different every year to see what's easiest and what works for us. But you want to have some system for labeling your seeds, because if you don't, you're going to plant them and then you're going to have no idea what you planted at each cell. So it's really important to make sure you label them. We have learned that lesson the hard way. That has happened to us before. So now we make sure we're always labeling as we go. And then another thing that we do once everything's planted is we lower the lights as close to the top of the cover as we can, just to make sure that everything's getting enough light. And then as plants grow up, we actually raise the lights. So you can see that the lights are on these little chains that we just bought a length of chain from the hardware store and kind of rigged up. I don't know if you can see. Rigged up a little system so that we can lower and raise them as we need to. Because as the plants grow, they start hitting the top of these lights, and then we need to raise them so that they have enough room. So something else to think about. So I hope this video was helpful, especially if you've never started your own seeds before. I hope that it takes some of the intimidation factor out of it. It's really easy. You just need something that holds dirt, something that drains well, and a sunny window or an LED light, and that's it. So I hope you got some good ideas from this video. If you have any questions or there's anything you'd like me to go more in depth on in the future, let me know down below. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.